Go. Hi, this is Coffee and Shenanigans with Frank and Kelly. As you see, we have a coffee pot, but are we drinking coffee? Oh, no, no, no. We're going to use it for an entirely different purpose here, as Frank will show us. We're going to go the other direction. You know, coffee gets you hyper. This will mellow you out, because I've tried some of it, and it's stout as it can be. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Frank. He's going to tell us what we're doing.
All right, very well. As you can see, I've determined the fermentation is complete. There's still a little cloudiness, which is probably okay. We sampled it the other day and it was fine. It's cleared up a little bit more, but it's still a little cloudy. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to run it through the coffee maker, just through the basket. And since the basket is set up here, I may have to press down on it so that it, to close the lid once it fills up. But the coffee filter, I don't know if it will clog up too quickly or not, but we're going to do that. I had a coffee filter over here just to keep any environmental pollutants out. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to ladle. And it looks like it's doing pretty good so far. Dripping down into the, yep.
Just so you professionals know, yes, I've ordered him a, what you call it? What is it?
It's a racking cane.
A racking cane and some tubing.
Yeah, and it had, oh, you ordered tubing also? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some, I found the tubing and the bottle filler thing. I just didn't find the racking cane. I may have gotten rid of it at some point, or it may be in a storage closet somewhere, but they were all clean and stuff. A little bit. I brewed some dark ale, so there was a little bit of colored the tubing a bit, but
yeah, it comes with tubing. I think it's the automatic one.
And you had because you had the siphon pump with it too, as I recall.
Yeah.
But yes, the method we're talking about here, that's where you use the racking cane and then it leaves the sediment on the bottom, it siphons it out. But I'm doing this alternative method. And it seems to be working, because let's see, is it coming out pretty clear on this side?
It looks like it. There's a slight cloudiness, but if I recall correctly, when I was looking at that recipe, some of the users have said that they noticed some cloudiness, but they believed it was the sugars in it.
Well, it had just a little mild sweetness to it, so I think most of it fermented.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it's leaving a lot of sediment behind in the paper filter either, so maybe it's just a characteristic of Dandelion wine. This is the first time we made it, right?
Right.
So now one trick for making beer a little clearer was to add a little bit of gelatin to it, unflavored gelatin. Mm-hmm. That was a trick there, but also the old world brews tended to be kind of cloudy, so the real genuine beer making snobs would say, hey, you don't want the crystal clear American kidney wash, you want the real stuff.
Yeah, they call it several colorful things.
Yeah.
What was the name of the one we recently tried? That Voodoo something.
Oh, Voodoo Ranger. That was from I believe that is from the New Belgium brewing company in Austin that makes craft brews. That was but it was Voodoo Ranger IPA.
It was good too. I'm not, I don't drink a lot of beer. In fact, I rarely ever drink, but I had a little bit, and then I had a little bit more. I really liked it.
And a little bit more, and a little bit more.
I had a little bit more, and then I handed it off to Frank because, I'm a lightweight. I did not want to wake up with a headache.
Well, you definitely want to drink water when you're drinking alcohol, because the part of it, dehydration is part of the of the thing, you know.
Yeah, that can actually turn into a dangerous situation. I'm told from medical experts.
Yeah. Now, in the Army, I knew a soldier. He went and he trained with he did a temporary training with a German unit, and they have beer breaks during the day. And so he wasn't, you know, he wasn't used to having a beer on duty, but you know, they get out there and they have their beer break, and then they get out and start training in the hot sun, and you know, he said, yeah, I got to drink beer while on duty, but man,
he was a little schnockered.
Yeah.
What is that Scottish ale? That McClellan's, is that right?
McEwen's, I think. Yeah, it's a
that's
Scotch
it.
ale, also called Wee Heavy.
It is really good, but I know I tried it, and the pharmacist that I was working with recommended it. He said, make sure you've got everything done that you need to do that day, and don't leave the house, is what he told me. And I had a little bit of it, and I'm like, well, this ain't that strong. And then about 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, yes, it is.
Well, I brewed a Scotch ale. Actually, that was kind of one of my favorite recipes, with the Scotch ale. Mm-hmm. But I brought some to a friend of mine was having a little get together at her house, and I brought some. And she got into this argument with this other friend of hers, you know, and they got into this argument. And the next day, she was telling me how embarrassed she was about acting like that. And I said, well, you know, and she said, I don't know what came over me. I said, well, you know, you drank 3 of those Scotch ales, and they're about 18% alcohol by volume. And you know, oh, by the way, I can't find my hydrometer. I do not know exactly what the alcohol content in this is, but based on the taste, I think it's probably pretty strong. But
right, the hydrometer will tell you how strong it is.
Yeah, you measure the specific gravity. If you have one that's made for beer and winemaking, it'll actually have tick marks that will show the alcohol by volume. But what you do is you take a reading before the fermentation, get the specific gravity before the fermentation, then you take another reading afterward, and then the difference between the two will tell you the alcohol by volume, because that'll tell you how many of the sugars, because the alcohol weighs less than the sugars. And so once you subtract the two numbers, then you get your the difference in the specific gravity. Again, like I said, the tick marks on ones that are made for wine and beer making, they'll actually have the tick marks. They'll say alcohol by volume, and if it says, you know, 1% at the beginning and 18% at the end, you know, you got 17%. You know. So,
well, now I know it. I didn't know that before. Something new to learn. Mm-hmm. Usually, if I have a question, I just ask Frank. He's smart.
And then I Google it. And then
no, more times than not, you know the answer.
Okay, since I have it facing you, I can't.
Yeah, it's almost. I was about to tell you it was almost full. We might want to commence.
It's actually probably getting about time to transfer it to the bottle.
Okay.
I've got some. We had some plum wine recently, so we're going to try this bottle.
I love that stuff. I don't know how you say it's plum gaykin.
It's a gaykin, I think is how it's pronounced. You know, there's a certain variety of plums they make this with.
If one of our friends from Japan knows how to pronounce this and could print it phonetically in the comments, that would be great, because I would love to know how to ask for it, because I just say the Japanese plum wine and they're like, well, what kind? And I'm like, I can't say it.
Well, when we were at Total Wine and More, there was a customer that knew what she was talking about, hers asking that. And they've got sections by country, and so, you know, we went to the one that said Japan.
I love Total Wine and More. I do. That's where we went to that wine tasting.
So, now, let's try. I think we can just pour this in. I may need to get a funnel. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to get the funnel.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Middle drawer. And here's the other. And here's this one. As you can see, there's a difference in the cloudiness. So I think that did it.
It's improved some. I think some of it will settle also in the bottle.
That was also in the reviews.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I went through them pretty thoroughly because I wanted to know what to expect, and that way if anything came up, we could. Since you know how to brew ales and stuff, but this is a new venture because you are my mad scientist.
Okay, I'm going to leave a little bit of space there. And since this is a screw top, I could probably do just fine with leaving it on loosely so that it doesn't build up pressure.
Aha!
But what I'm going to do, just so that you can see how it's done, is that we've got our water balloons left over from when our niece and nephew were little and they wanted to have a water balloon fight. And ooh, these are kind of...
I was going to say, those were pretty tight. At first, we had to insert a straw to get the...
Yeah. Now, these are probably made in China, and who knows what all kind of handling they had, so
yeah.
I'm going to give them a little bit of a sterilization.
Yeah, I was going to say don't use hand sanitizer, but you were already ready for that.
You know, but just this is, I believe I got 3%